How you doing? Welcome to my kitchen. I'm Chef Michael. I've been in kitchens for 40 years, have a lot of experience, and I'm here to share with you today. We're gonna do a couple dishes. We're doing three. We're doing an entree, an appetizer, and a dessert. For our entree, we're doing a garlic shrimp, a roasted garlic crustade, nice light starter, and then we're gonna go into the big gun. Braised short rib ragu with a homemade pappardelle pasta. We're gonna tie it all together at the end with something light. Macerated berries with sugar, bringing out some syrup, simple, with a mascarpone whipped cream. We'll top it off with a brittle, little crunch at the end to round out the meal. I can't wait to get started and share what I do with you. Let's go. How you doing? Chef Michael back again. Welcome to my kitchen. Glad you could be here. We're gonna get right into the short rib ragu that we're gonna pair with fresh homemade pappardelle pasta, okay? So we're gonna start with the short rib, okay? We got a square cut, an English cut short rib, right? We're gonna get some onions, our mirepoix ready. We're gonna get everything in place first. So I'll start with the mirepoix that we'll deglaze the pan with after we sear the short ribs, okay? We're gonna glaze the short ribs, take them out, deglaze the pan. We're gonna put some wine in there, some mirepoix, some tomatoes. We'll put the short ribs back and we'll just let it braise for a couple hours, okay? And then we'll get into the pasta. So we gotta get some onions going first, all right? Just so that we're ready. Onions, celery, garlic, all the good stuff. That's where the magic happens. You know, you have to make the magic. I'm gonna give a large cut for this. Well, I'm going with a medium dice because we're braising for a long time. And braising just means that it's gonna cook slowly for a long period of time. And it's usually done with a tougher cut of meat. You know, one of the more inexpensive cuts. So it's a muscle meat. So you cook it for a long time, you know, you tenderize it. This stuff, it's gonna fall off the bone, paired with this mirepoix, wine, garlic. We're gonna be eating today. Get some garlic in there. Everybody's got a trick for garlic. I'm old school. Smash it, peel it. I'm using large chunks so I don't have to be fancy with it. That one's giving me a little bit of trouble, but there we go. All right, good to go. And I'm gonna tell you something that's gonna make this, I'm gonna add something that's gonna make this sauce creamy and add to the texture. We're gonna finish it with Parmigiano Reggiano, with the Parmesan Reggiano, but we're gonna take the rind off of it, okay? And we're gonna add that and let that braise with the tomatoes and the beef, and it's gonna give it a creamy texture, and it's just gonna bring all this magic together. It's like in harmony, you know, when you're creating a song, a symphony. You got the flutes, you got the horns, you know, everybody together. I'm gonna put a little oil in the pan. I had that heating up a little bit, okay? So now I'm firing it up because I wanna get a good hot sear on this. I'm gonna give it a good generous amount of kosher salt all the way around. And we're gonna sear it on all sides too. Searing it's gonna caramelize and it's gonna hold all the flavor inside. We get that pepper on there. Make sure that gets good and hot, all right? I'm gonna have my tongs ready. I have my mirepoix ready. I have my wine ready, my tomatoes, my stock. So once we deglaze the pan after searing it, we'll be ready to go. So I'm gonna go on fat side down. Oh, if you could hear that. That's music to my ears. So we got a good sear going, all right? Like I said, if you could hear that, that's music. I love that sound. Pan's nice and hot. You got the fat part is seasoned with salt and pepper. We got a nice sear going. We're gonna get all sides nice and brown. Take our time. You know, we got other stuff going on over here. We just want to make sure that we seal in all those flavors. So once that's complete, you know, I'm going to remove them, put them in the pot. I'm going to add the mirepoix. I'll deglaze it with Chianti. Chianti is a nice, rich red wine, very flavorful, and it's going to pair well with the richness of the Parmesan Reggiano rind and the tomato and the braised beef. We're going to add a little beef broth, our San Marzano plum tomatoes, and some tomato paste to give it some body, bring everything together. And then that fresh pasta is just going to absorb that sauce. It's going to sing. So this is singing, we're turning it around. We're getting a good sear on all sides. In the meantime, I'll get this other pot going. And I'm just gonna get it started with a little beef broth while I'm deglazing the pan, because it takes time for the short ribs to braise. So you wanna start this in the morning. Get it going. You can finish it in the oven, but I'm gonna do it on the pot, on the top, like a Sunday sauce. You do it in the oven, you cover it, you drop it in, you forget about it. You start doing your other prep. Get ready for your guests. All right, so we got a good sear. We got the sides going. I'll be ready to put it in the pot. And I'm gonna drain just a little bit of this oil. We don't want it to get too oily. I still have my pan over here. We'll drain some of that oil. We'll drain some of the oil, but we want to keep all that goodness in there. Ooh, boy, you can smell that. This is gonna sing, because that pan is good and hot now. And now we're adding some vegetables that have water in it, and ooh, it's singing and it's smoking. Ah, you can see it. This is the orchestra. This is the song. All right, right on. All right, so we're gonna build flavors, okay? Just like a melody. A little salt, a little black pepper. All right. I am a huge fan of wooden spoons. You know, whenever I'm doing sauce or something from home, something that brings back memories, a wooden spoon. You know, now I'm gonna turn this down a little bit. Now that I think about it, maybe that's how Mom ruled the house, with the wooden spoon, you know, but that's where I got the passion. That's where I learned how to cook. The kitchen was magical. You know, during holidays, that's where the family, that's where the adults hung out. And I always wanted to be old enough and big enough to get into the kitchen, because there was laughter, there was jokes, there was also sadness. So, you know, life took place in the kitchen, and there was always food involved. You know, we were always having food, and what's for dinner, what's for the festival meal. Very important. Food brings people together. It's the spirit of food. You know, it brings people together. It brings a part of our soul that we give to them in every meal that we prepare for them. Everybody takes a piece of you with them. And I got the opportunity right now, with all my experience, to bring it right here to share with you. I'm gonna add some of this Chianti. Man, this is music. You talk about a symphony. You can see it bubbling. It's reducing. All that rich flavors coming in. Wow, good stuff. That just brings me back. Certain smells, certain textures. Now I'm gonna add this. Break it up. Actually, I'm gonna leave it whole, because I should have cut it with the knife. But it's gonna be in there a long time, so it'll be just fine. All right? I love this. I found it in the store. No more canned and saving it, right out of the paste. Just like toothpaste. I add a little bit of tomato paste to bring it all together. Get my San Marzano tomatoes in there. All of it. Get some of that good juice. The tomatoes. All right. We got all that in there. Back to the wooden spoon. Trusty. Break it up a little bit. Just stand back a little bit, because they tend to splash on you. I eat pasta. Every time I eat pasta, it's always with a light shirt on. There's that red stain right down the front of every t-shirt. All right, that's simmering real nice. That's smelling good. We're gonna add some herbs to it. So we're just gonna add them whole. They're gonna cook down. We're gonna strain it out anyway, a little bit. You know, we could put it in cheesecloth. You know what? That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab my scissors here, and I'm gonna make a little sachet. So this way we don't have to pick out stems and stuff. This is cheesecloth. It's very versatile for straining and for tying up herbs and making cheese. I'm gonna put some oregano, sage, parsley. Actually, I did it out of order. Isn't it parsley, sage, rosemary, and thyme? That's how I always remembered it from Simon and Garfunkel. I'm old school. Some basil, all right? I'm gonna wrap it up. I'm gonna give it a twist. I'd normally put butcher's twine in it. You could do that, but I got it nice and tight, and I'm just gonna set it in here while I got that cooking. This is simmering nice, all right? So I got a nice amount of sauce in there, the tomatoes. Now it's gonna cook down a lot because it's gonna cook a long time. So I think I better add a little more broth in there because you're gonna add some liquid to allow for the evaporation. So now we don't have to worry about it losing all the liquid and there's still enough to braise the beef. Okay, so that's got a nice simmer to it. It's got good heat. I'm gonna add it to the short ribs. Nice. Right into the pot. It's in the pot. The short ribs are in the pot. I'm gonna bring this up to a boil. I'm gonna add a little more of the San Marzano tomato juice. Actually, you know what? What the heck? Forget about it. Put it all in there. You know, every time I cook, whoever's around, they're saying, would you invite the whole neighborhood? I don't know how to cook in small portions. I cook big, you know? Go big or go home, right? So we got enough liquid in there. I'm gonna cover it. I'm gonna bring it up to a boil, and then I'm gonna cut it down to a simmer. So we're gonna let that simmer, and then we'll be right back and show you how to make some pasta. All right, welcome back. So we got the short ribs going for the ragu. Okay, we got it in the pot. So it started to come to a good boil. So now I'm gonna cut it down to a simmer and we're gonna let it go. That's why we did it first. We gotta let it go. Now we're gonna do our appetizer. We're gonna do a shrimp dish. This is just basic shrimp and garlic. And we're gonna do a crustade with roasted garlic, okay? So what I did, I just cut a little top. I cut the top off of the garlic. And hit it with a little olive oil, a little salt. You can wrap it in oil. I mean, I'm sorry, it is wrapped in oil. You have to wrap everything in olive oil. Olive oil is the blood of life besides water. But anyway, a little blood of life on there, a little salt. I'm just gonna pop it in the oven with the meat side up of the garlic and just let it roast. We're gonna rub that on a crostini later on, right? So I found these beautiful shrimp at the Korean market down by me, and they had the heads on. Oh man, people don't like the heads. Maybe they don't know what to do with the heads, but that's where the flavor is. That's where all the love is. So we're gonna make a stock with the heads and with the shell. We're gonna roast them. Any crustacean, that means a shellfish that kind of moves, lobster. You have to roast the shells to get the oils out. They turn red. You just can't boil them. So we're gonna roast and get the flavor out. So we're gonna pull the heads off of it. Sometimes if you squeeze the head and the body together and pull it, you could get everything out, but we have it like this. And we're just gonna put the heads aside and we're gonna get them started. And then we're gonna add the shell to it. But I wanna get good flavor out of the heads because that's where it's juicy. You know, if you go to the restaurant sometimes and they have these on the menu and they serve them with the head on and saute them with garlic, or if they use an Asian spice or make them spicy, oh, you wanna get them. You break them, you get all the juice out, there's meat in the top side, and then you have the rest of the sweet and juicy shrimp. You know, we throw away all goodness sometimes. So I'm just gonna get this pan going because I'm only gonna make a small stock, so I'm only gonna do it in a frying pan. So I'm gonna get, again, a little olive oil. Notice I have a lighter olive oil. The lighter olive oil is the one I cook with when you saute it. It has a higher smoking point. That means you could get it hotter before it turns to smoke. This is more for finishing. Extra virgin olive oil at the end. A little thicker, more for flavor. Get a little olive oil in there. You know what? I'm gonna be patient and let that get nice and hot so we could hear that pan sing again. All right, I'm gonna take a little bit of onion. Again, it doesn't have to be pretty because it's only for flavor in the stock. All right, I gotta get some garlic. We're gonna add more garlic later. We're gonna add layers of garlic to this sauce. We're gonna do some roasted garlic in there. We're gonna slice it and saute it, and we're gonna chop it up, and we're gonna use that in the marinade for the shrimp. So it's gonna have a couple different cuts to it, and it's gonna be cooked at different times and different temperatures. So we're building flavor. You start at a base, and you just build from there. This pan is nice and hot now. I can see it starting to smoke. The oil starts to separate a little bit. Wow. I'm going to add some of the Trinity here, the Italian Trinity, which is the white mirepoix, garlic, celery, and onion. And dig it. Like food even has names that are spiritual, the Trinity. You know, how cool is that? Because we cook from the heart. We come from the spirit. We relate to each other from the spirit. And we share the spirit with each other with our food. I'm gonna hit it with a little salt. All right, I got that going. You know, I'm making this for appetizer for 2 people. You could do a family style. So right now, I'm just going to get a few more shells in there to get them roasted, to get those oils out. Because if you just boil it, like I said, you're just going to have colored water, no flavor. All right, so I'm only going to get this started. Like you can see, they're almost ready when they start to turn red. There's a nice redness right there. Oh, all that goodness is coming out. The mirepoix is starting to caramelize, starting to get the sugars out. When it caramelizes, that's the sugars coming out, and they start to get colored. And it gives the sweetness. Oh, wow. I love it. Okay, guys, my favorite part, a little Sauvignon Blanc. Any white wine will do. But you know what? Don't put anything in the food. Don't cook anything that you're not going to drink, because you're going to get the same taste. Cook with something that you like. Not the super expensive, but something that's good enough to drink. Here we go. Man, that is a pan of bubbling goodness right there. Right on, right on. All right, we're not going to forget the lemon. We're going to use a couple parts of the lemon. My favorite part is the zest. We just get the yellow part. Don't get any of the white, the pith. That starts to get bitter. The yellow part has all the oils in it. That gives it that lemony fresh smell. That gave me an opportunity to check my ragu, and it's simmering real nice. All right, right on. We got some zest in there, and I'm gonna put some juice in there too. We're gonna finish the sauce later. This is just the stock we're working on. We're building flavors. I'm gonna get a little water in there, and just like I'm gonna get a little water, and just like we're doing with the short ribs, we're gonna forget about it. We're gonna let it cook. We're gonna let them flavors come together, get that harmony going. Takes a little time. I'm not gonna add too much. I'm gonna let that reduce. All right. So we're gonna let that simmer, and then we're gonna come back, saute the shrimp, and put that sauce together. All right, we're back. So we have our shrimp shells have been reducing. Nice flavor in there. It's really gotten consolidated. So we're gonna strain that right into actually, we strain it right over here. Right into a chinois. That's what this is called. It's French, chinois. That's what we learned in school. French term. This is one of the finer mesh strainers. There are larger ones that have bigger holes in it. They're called China caps. They're a little bit larger, you get more through. This is a little finer to catch all that things you don't want floating around in there, because this is a finer finish. All right, so we got the shells out of there. We're good for that. I'm just gonna give this pan a wipe because there's still goodness in there. I'm gonna add it back over here, and we're gonna cook our shrimp. We're gonna finish this dish. And I'm gonna add some of this light olive oil. I'll finish it with butter, actually. Get the olive oil going, because like I said, this fine olive oil, the lighter one has a higher burning temperature. Butter has a lower burning temperature. So I'm adding a little bit of oil first so I could saute my mirepoix, but I'm also adding a little butter for flavor too. So once the oil gets a little hot, there you go. There's that sizzle. All right, I got my butter in the pan. I got the butter going. While the butter's going in the pan, I chopped up some garlic, and I'm putting it on the top of the shrimp. Before I cook it, I'm gonna add a little lemon juice onto there, a little salt. I don't wanna do it too early, just right before I'm cooking it, because the acids will start to cook the shrimp. And that's not the dish I want. That's more for a ceviche, where it will cook longer. I'm also gonna slice garlic, because like I said, we're doing garlic a few different ways. So we had it chopped, I'm doing it sliced, and I have that roasted garlic in the oven that's still ready to go. Ooh, so I hear goodness happening in there. That's time to add the shrimp. I'm gonna put them in nice and neat, like little soldiers. All right? Oh, there's that sizzle. Woo-hoo. Now we're cooking. I got another wooden spoon. So now, when you're cooking the shrimp, all right? So you got that good sizzle. You're cooking it on one side. You're getting good color on it. Don't overcook your shrimp. You don't want rubber. You don't want it to shrivel up into snails like they are. I'm getting good color. Remember, I'm making the sauce, and this is gonna cook again. I already had the garlic on the shrimp, so the garlic is cooking in the pan, right? Cool. It's not fully cooked yet, but I'm removing all of this from the pan, okay? Because there's still gonna be juice in there. We're gonna get back to that. All right, shrimp is cooking, it's sitting. We're gonna finish it. A little more light olive oil. I got my sliced garlic now, and it's okay if that gets a little toasty. Sometimes those slices, they get a little toasty. They're the best. It's got a little crunch. It adds a little flavor to it. It adds another layer, like a little bitterness to it. All right, so we got that garlic going. We're gonna hear the goodness of deglazing the pan. And my friend is back again to tell me to check on the Ragu. Thanks, the Ragu is doing great. Wow, I could feel it starting to get tender. Good stuff. All right, we got some sizzling going over here. The garlic that was on the shrimp is starting to get really brown, all right? Because that went in first. That's gonna give another layer of flavor, the brownness. Here comes that goodness again. We used it before. Pan's nice and hot. We're getting all that flavor. Oh, man. It's not only singing, it's doing a little dance. Yeah, showtime. I told you when you joined me, this is where the magic happens. And you know, I was raised, there's always an extra seat at the table, you know? And here you are. And when a friend came home, there was always enough for everybody. Food is life. Food is spirit. Food connects us. And right now we're connected over this font in this pan. All right, so we're gonna let that reduce. Some of that alcohol cooked off already when it flamed, so it burnt off. So some people are a little concerned with alcohol in their dish. I cook it all off because you don't want the flavor of alcohol, you want the flavor of the wine. All right, I'm gonna hit it with some lemon. All right, with something to dip into all that goodness. You can't leave all that flavorful goodness on the plate. So I got a nice French baguette. Could be a day old. I'm cutting it on a bias. That's a nice long angle because I want some height on it. All right, so get a little crispy. All right, so I got my crostade, a little light olive oil, a little taste of salt, reducing nicely. I want the flavor, but I don't want all the liquid. I had a pan hot before, so I'm just gonna throw this in my cast iron skillet. You could grill it, you could put it in the oven, you could toast it. All right, we got all that font in there. Ooh, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. Got it all off the bottom of the pan, all that caramelized. Now the goodness comes in. There's that stock. Wow. It's rich. It's deep. It's full of flavor. But you know what? It took time. We did it in a couple layers. We didn't just throw it together. Just like anything else. You have to build, you add layers, you develop it. And this isn't the way that everyone has to do it. It's the way I do it. Create your own style, just like anything. You get the foundation and your style, make it your own. Make the mistakes and try something different. We're gonna get a little parsley ready for that. And my fresh parsley over here. We'll add that to the dish. Nice freshness. With the lemon and the fresh parsley, it gives it that pop at the end. Right? Now, we reserve this. I'm just gonna take a plate here, and in that bowl that I had the shrimp, I'm just gonna put a top over it. Ah, there's a little more goodness. I'll let that reduce. Move my bread aside. All right, the bread is almost ready. The shrimp is almost about to go back in. All right, so I'm gonna cut this down. I got a nice toast. I got a nice toast on my crostades, right? Remember we threw some roasted garlic in there to roast? Ooh, that's, ooh, ooh, ooh. That's goodness. And it's hot, and it's very hot, but we're gonna use it again. I'm gonna split it. Actually, it peels so easy. And I'm just gonna rub it. Yes, nice. Rubbed it on a crostade. Take a little bit of roasted. We said we were layering it. Woo, why not? That oven door stayed open. Right into the sauce. All right, nice reduction. Take it off the heat. We're gonna add the shrimp with the rest of all that. Now, the butter, the deep and rich stock, it's just glazing right over the shrimp. And there's gonna be a lot of deliciousness in there. These are very, very nice size. These were U10s, so that means the U means under. So there's under 10 to a pound. There were 10 in a pound to this. So just an appetizer, you know, it's going to warm us up and whet our palate for what's to come. I'm gonna add a little sauce to that. Look at that richness. That's from roasting the bones, okay? We'll put that back. We have something to put our sauce in. A little bit to dip. A little parsley on top. Remember to bring that freshness out. And then we're gonna cut a little lemon too. You could squeeze it on, there's lemon in there. Let's see, keep that freshness vibe going. Let's put a little sprig. And there's our first course. All right, so we have the garlic shrimp. It has that rich, deep red color from the shells, right? But then we cooked it down. We were patient, we let it reduce. We removed it, we did our shrimp, then we brought it back. So it was give and take, unity, everything together. See how everything comes together? There's our first course. Stick around, and we'll be right back. All right, how you doing? Welcome back. All right, so every good meal or great meal or mediocre meal gets rounded out with a dessert. You could always finish off big, you know, leave a little sweetness. But it's springtime, so I went a little bit light. So we're gonna do some berries and some cream, a little tiramisu type of cream. We're gonna macerate some berries. Berries are beautiful this time of season. I have some blackberries, some blueberries, some raspberries, strawberries. So macerate is just, we're gonna take the berries and we're gonna cut them a little bit, the strawberries, and mix them with sugar. The sugar kind of does something with the liquid, and as it sits, it creates its own little syrup. So we're just gonna macerate some berries, all right? We'll put that in the layer, and then we're gonna whip some mascarpone cheese. That's the base for tiramisu. So we're gonna whip it, get the air out, make it nice and soft, put it aside. Then we're gonna make whipped cream with heavy cream. Sweeten both with a little bit of vanilla. And then we're gonna fold the whipped cream in with the mascarpone. Mascarpone is a little bit heavier. You know, it's like a cream cheese. It's a mellow Italian cream cheese. So we'll whip it up, make it whipped, and we'll fold in the whipped cream and make it nice and light and airy. So we'll put a little layer of that down, a layer of the berries, and then I have a nice finishing touch, nice little crunch to go with that we'll talk about. But let me just get these berries macerated, okay? I got some, those nice strawberries, beautiful blueberries. June, my favorite time of the year living in Jersey. I live down in South Jersey. I'm close to Hamilton, blueberry capital of the world. I gotta tell you, they're like 3 for $2 or something, no, 2 for $3. And I could just sit there and pop them in my mouth like candy. They're delicious. So we got our berries in, that's it. And all we have to do is add a little sugar. In fact, you could add brown sugar. You could add a little vanilla to it. But we're gonna build flavors. I'm adding some of those flavors to a different texture. So we're gonna hold back on that. So right now, the berries are, you know, still in their form, but the magic's gonna happen, the sugar's gonna break it down, and it's gonna get a little syrupy. So we will just put them aside, and we'll come back to them. I'm gonna add a little brown sugar to it. And just add another layer of flavor. We'll give it a little bit of richness. Okay? All right, so now what I'm gonna do, I'll bring the mixer over, and I'm gonna add our mascarpone cheese. Mascarpone, I always have trouble saying it. I don't remember if the S or the C or the A where it goes, but I know it's delicious. So however you say it, we're gonna have some goodness today, all right? So there it goes. Our mascarpone is in, real simple. We're gonna start off slow so it don't splash up on us. Madagascar vanilla, they're known for it. Celebrate the flavors. You don't need a lot of ingredients, but if you have good ingredients, celebrate the ingredients. Celebrate the seasons and the freshness. You don't have to fly around the world for a berry to have in the middle of January. Wait till it comes in season and it's delicious. But you gotta be patient. So anyway, that's my deal on that. I'm gonna add a little sugar. Not too much, because I'm gonna sweeten the whipped cream too. All right, so we don't wanna go too far. You could add almond extract, you could add pistachio, you could add just about anything. So we're gonna start off slow, like I said, so it doesn't splash, and now we're gonna speed it up. We're whipping in that air. Air gives it volume. Same thing when you whip butter. You whip butter till it gets nice and airy and it's nice and spread. Now, you'll see, and I'll tell you when we get to the whipped cream, you gotta be careful with whipped cream. You don't walk away from it. You walk away from it, you could have a big bowl of butter. If you go too far, I've seen it. Oh, goodness. You know, we have to fail to learn, you know? All my failures are a sum total of where I am right now, right here, sharing all my experiences with you in my kitchen, with an empty seat at my table, always, for a guest. Come on now, we got the mascarpone whipped. All right, I'm gonna set it aside. I'm gonna set it aside right here in the bowl, you know, and I'm gonna use the same bowl for the whipped cream. While I'm whipping the cream, I'll tell you about this crisp that we're gonna top it with. So I'll get my machine back going again, and I definitely have to be mindful not to live the story I just told you, because I had that on high, right? Make sure we're on low. I didn't have the bowl up. Always check. You'll remember that story. All right, we have our heavy cream. We're gonna add a little sugar. And we're gonna add a little vanilla again. Again, like I said, you can jazz it up. You could go with chopped mint. We're gonna put mint on the top. We're gonna start slow. We're gonna get it going. So, the crisp we're gonna do. It consists of pumpkin seeds, coconut, cranberries, chocolate chips, and sunflower seeds, right? It all gets mixed together. A little bit of egg white to hold it together. It gets laid out real thin on this silk screen so it doesn't stick. Put it in the oven till it gets a little crisp and break it like a brittle. It's a healthy dish. It's got a nice crunch and it's got great flavor. All right, I'm real close. I think I'm there, so I'm turning it off and I'm gonna check it. All right, it's okay, I use the same spoon. Pull this aside. Yeah, we got nice peaks, okay? That's what we're looking for. We're ready to go with that. I'm gonna fold that in a little at a time. You know, I'm not whisking it, just folding it in, nice and easy. Nice and easy. It's gonna be creamy, it's a little loose, that's okay. The berries are macerating, it'll all just melt together. You know, we're doing layers. You know, this piece does a little, this piece does a little, that piece does a little. We put it all together and, you know, it's like family, it's like friendship through food. Food, just bringing people together. That's why I got into it. Like I said, in the kitchen, all the fun, the laughter. Couldn't wait to get in the kitchen. And here I am. Became my passion. Now I get to share it with everybody. Wow, what a gift, what a blessing. Okay, that's ready. That's good to go. I'm happy with that. It's smooth, it's light. We're gonna set that aside. We're gonna put that in our cup later. I'm gonna take our egg white. Could probably use the yolk somewhere else. So I'm just gonna hold on to that for later. And I'll set that in the shell. And we'll get back to that. All right, so now we're gonna make our crisp. Pumpkin seeds, about a cup, depending on how much you're making. There's no rules, there's no measurements. Trial and error, have fun, but the foundation is this. About a cup, maybe a half a cup of the sunflower seeds, some chocolate chips, coconut. The coconut pulls it together. The sugar's in the coconut. Once it cooks, it caramelizes. That helps pull it together with the egg white. Chocolate chip and the cranberries. So we got some cranberries in here too, dried cranberries. Hey, use your dried cranberries. Support your local farmer. The cranberry bogs in New Jersey, they're great. They flood the bogs, they float to the top, they harvest the cranberries. It's great to see. And it's a great place to drive through. We're gonna add our egg yolk. We're gonna mix it all together real good, so everything gets coated. And you want to layer it real thin on your sheet because you want it to kind of crisp up. It might look like it's getting a little burnt around the edges, but it's not. That's the pumpkin seeds that are toasting. Oh, I love toasted pumpkin seeds. Spanish, the pepitas. Ah, we use it a lot, right? Just take it out of your bowl. So simple and so good. Spread it out nice and thin. Okay? These silk sheets, they're wonderful. They'll come out, nothing will stick to it. They're good for high temperature. They work really well. See, it's spread out really nice. Like I said at the university, picture full sheet pans, making 10 of them, mixing that in big bowls. Food is medicine. Food is life. Food is spirit. You know, food is learning. Food is inspiration. It gets all that good stuff running. And you know, when we could share that over food, it's just a blessing. I think it's just part of what we were designed to do. So real quick, I got a 400-degree oven. I got this on thin. I'm popping it in the oven. You got to watch it. It's going to take at least 10 minutes. Start looking at it in 10 minutes. 10, 12 minutes, it's close to being done. Hey, welcome back. All right, so we have the ragu. It's been simmering. It's going real nice. It's just about ready. So we're gonna make our pasta dough. We're gonna get right into the pasta. This is another special thing for me. It was made at home with Aunt Rosie and Mom, and it just brings back some warm memories with family at the holiday. It was a favorite of everyone. Nothing like fresh pasta. So I'm taking a cup of flour. I use all-purpose flour, any kind of flour. Some people are particular. It's a preference. It does have a different texture. 00 flour is lighter. Different way to work with it. A little more challenging, but any flour, all-purpose works fine. So I got my flour in there, okay? I used egg white. I saved the yolk to put in the dough. It's just gonna make it a little richer. This dough, I'm gonna start with 3 eggs. 2 whole eggs and that yolk. Putting it right in the center. Making a little nest in there. So I got my liquid in there. I'm gonna add a little salt. 4 ingredients: salt, flour, egg, olive oil. Now, if you need to add more egg, you could add more egg. You could add a little water to it. I'm gonna start with the paddle, just to get it started, and then we're gonna switch over to the dough hook. All right? So I got my paddle on. Again, I'm gonna start out slow and just kind of jog it until the flour pulls together with the liquid. When I was in school, I went to Hudson County Community College Culinary Arts Institute. I was in the 2nd graduating class in '86, and Chef Arnold Trapez was in the bake shop, and we used to make bread and lots of it. And he used to say, when we added the water to the dough, we're determining its destiny. So you add a little bit at a time. If it needs more, you add more. If it needs less, you add flour. You're determining the feel of the dough, what you're looking for. So I just used the paddle to get it together, okay? It starts to pull together. I'm gonna put the hook on here. You could also do it by hand. You know, that's a great way to do it. It's old school. You get your hand in the dough, but we're gonna get our hand in the dough too. We're just gonna get it started with this. It's a little less messy and a little more workable. All right, so I have the hook in here now, and it's starting to pull together. I'm just gonna set it down, help it out a little bit off the sides, and I'm gonna get the board ready for flour. No problem, I got the flour on my hands. It's gonna take care of that on the board right here. The flour will pull it off. Flour our board, add a little flour in there, knead a little bit, get our hands in it. Okay, good enough, I'm turning it off. I'm gonna get my hands in the dough now. This is the part, you know, you get to really be a part of it and get a little piece of yourself in there because you're working it, you're feeling it. I'm gonna add a little flour to my hands, and I'm gonna pull everything off the side of the bowl, pull it together. I'm gonna set it down here for now, and I'm gonna take this out of our way, and now we're gonna work the dough. I'm starting to get a little soft feel for it. It's like a little pillow, nice and soft. You want to add a little more flour on your fingers, rub it together, you know, and it'll come right off. And then we'll pull all that up. Hands are good, all right? Now I'm getting all that excess flour up. This is where we work it, all right? Now, here's the technique I do. This is oh so nice and soft. So I grab it from the front, take it from the front down to the heel, spin it. Front to heel, front to heel. It's getting a little sticky. You know, I got it at my heel. Give them a little pressure, turn, turn. You could use your knuckle, you could use your heel. Now when Mom and Aunt Rose did it, they were feeding 10 people. Imagine the amount of dough they had to make. Wow. I remember the kitchen, again, in the kitchen, the fun, the wine, the stories, the laughter. Oh, there's sadness there too, but that's part of life. You know, we feel the sadness so that the happiness feels even that much better. You want to work it for about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, you know, get it good and tight. Now that you worked it hard, just like anything else, it's tight. You have to let it rest, all right? So let it rest, 25 minutes, 20 minutes. You can rest on the counter. You can make it the night before. Put it in the refrigerator, pull it out, let it get to room temperature. It'll be nice and pliable. Nice, keep the air out. It won't stick. You could freeze it. Freeze this for a bit. If you're gonna make the dough, you might as well make your pasta and then freeze it, all right? So I happen to have a dough ready. That's been resting. Just gonna set this down and we're gonna roll out some pasta. So I'm gonna bring the pasta maker over and we're gonna start that. I have the dough that has rested. I'm adding a little semolina flour, all right? It's corn, you know, fine cornstarch, cornmeal, I'm sorry. What it does is it has a little grit to it. So when you're using the fresh pasta and you have it in between the layers, the pasta won't stick, that little bit of grit. Then when you cook it, it has that little bit of bite to it. So I have my piece of dough and I'm gonna cut it into 4 pieces. And I'm going to set them aside. And each one, I'm gonna make it like an oval, all right? Remember, you wanna keep it floured and you wanna keep your pasta maker floured. And I hear something singing to me in the back. I better check it. I didn't get an alert this time, but I could hear it. Wow. That's a symphony there, folks. Falling apart. We're gonna be good to go. I'm gonna turn this down and we're gonna come back to the pasta. Okay, so I'm making it in kind of like an oval, stretching it a little bit. And on your pasta machine, you have dials, 1 through 8. 1 being the widest, and as you go through 8, it gets thinner and thinner and thinner. So you want to run it through a few times to get the desired consistency. So what I do is I run it through number 1 3 times for the first roll, 3 times. Don't forget to flour, 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 flour. You get sticky dough, you get sticky dough. It's hard to work with, okay? So you got your 3 times it went through. You take each end, fold, fold, okay? Gonna go through number 1. Right, now we're gonna go a little thinner. I'm gonna jump it to number 3. See, it's still nice and pliable. The feel of it is nice, but like I said, keep it floured. It's starting to, you know, before it gets too sticky, hit it. Catch it and pull it, okay? That was 2 times that. I'm going up to 5, okay? I skipped 2, I jumped 2 because the dough is nice, it's feeling good. It'll be real important at the end when it's thinner and finer how I run it through. If you could see, look how longer it's gotten. Look how pliable it is. It's stretchy. And 4 ingredients: egg, flour, salt, and oil. You know, hey, my grandparents, you know, in the village in Calabria, they had to feed a lot of people, you know, peasant food, but it was the best. It was from the heart and soul. How could it not be? All right, so we're down to 6, and we see it's starting to get nice and thin on us, for us. Now, if you cook it too thick, it's gonna be tough and chewy. You want it nice and thin. All right, you see where we're going? Now it's taking me a little longer because I don't want it to bunch up. You know, it'll get sticky, but once I run some semolina on top, we're gonna be good to go. You know, I'm real happy with this. I'm gonna cut it in half so that it's workable. And I'm happy with the texture, and I'm happy with the thinness. Like, you could almost see my hand through it. Good stuff, good stuff. All right, we got doughs. We can make more. Like I said, we're doing an intimate dinner today for two. We'll do this family style. I do the rest of that. That's 2 pounds. It'll easily feed a family of 4 and have some leftovers. See, I'm hitting it with the semolina. The semolina is going to prevent it from sticking together. It's going to give it that little layer. All right. And put these aside. I'm going to roll this up a little bit. I wouldn't roll it up without that semolina in between, because it would stick together and I'd have another clump of dough. Okay, I'm going to grab my knife, hand cut pappardelle. Come on, man, I had my hands in it, got my heart in it. I got you to share it with. I like it a little thick because it's going to hold that ragu. Ragu is a stew, hearty, thick, flavorful. All right, now we're gonna open them up. Little ribbons of love, little ribbons of goodness, you know, but live and learn. It's still good. Just got to work a little faster. You know, the dough was really nice. I had it sitting at room temperature for a while, so all that gluten was nice and loose. Set these aside. They're gonna lay on the board. I'll move the board aside. They'll dry out, because you want them to dry for a few minutes. I mean, Mom and Aunt Rose used to lay all this out on the bed, and it would dry out for a couple hours while more conversation and sauce was made. They dry out, and then when everything was ready, we had the meal. So these are gonna dry out. They'll be ready. We'll cook them off, and we'll mix them with the sauce. We're gonna let this dry out, and then we'll come right back and we'll cook it and put this dish together. All right, so we're back, and we're gonna finish off the dessert. Our berries have been macerating. They're getting a nice syrup in there. They're nice and syrupy. Just enough to coat it, because we have a nice loose cream. Cream is ready. Mascarpone is loose. We got the cream in there. We added some air. I'm just gonna put a little bit in the bottom of our martini glass. And you know, when you macerate berries, if you like, you could add a little Grand Marnier in there, any sweet liqueur that you like, just a little bit, and yeah, that would be nice too. So I'm just gonna spoon these in here. While these were macerating, we had our brittle going. That's ready, it's nice and crisp. Put a little more cream on top. We have our crisp that came out. I'm just gonna try to, you know, give it a break, so slide it in. Put a little piece over here, a little piece over here. Nice and nice. Nice fresh mint. I tell you, I could remember, we moved from that house when I was 6 years old, but I can remember, I must have been 3 or 4, and my grandfather had everything grown in the garden, the grapevine, the figs, tomatoes, basil, but what I remembered most was mint. Mint grew everywhere, and I can remember getting it on my finger, and my pop showed me how to rub it and get the oils out. And I was just a little child, but the memories, food invokes memories. It brings back, wow, I haven't thought of my grandfather in a little bit. And here I am preparing something, and he came to mind. Pop spirits here. So here's our dessert. It's nice and light. It's got a cream, a little fresh burst of mint, and it's got a little crunchy crispness of the brittle. All right, welcome back. We're gonna dig in now. Our short ribs have been braising for a couple hours, like 2. The sauce is getting together. Our pasta is made. We're gonna get ready to go. All right, we're gonna get our water going. I have it started. When you cook fresh pasta, salt in the water. Okay, you cannot really over salt it. Very generous. It should taste like the ocean. Trust me, it's not gonna absorb into the pasta. It's just gonna give it a little bit of flavor. And I don't put oil in the water. Some people do. I don't know. I feel pasta is porous. If you put oil in, it covers the pores and it doesn't absorb the sauce. I hit it with a little olive oil at the end. I don't think it prevents it from sticking. But that's just my experience. Okay, so we're ready. We got the short ribs braised. Oh, they're falling apart tender. My goodness. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm gonna get our pan going. I got some short ribs, meat. Look at this. It's it's separating. I mean, the bone's already gone. Something else for me to clean up later. Another piece of short rib. Tender. That's money. Money, money. We got it broken up, making our ragu. Gonna get a little of that goodness, that sauce, all that richness that's in there. Bring it a little closer. Wow, all that richness. It's so red and deep from the tomato paste and the Chianti wine. You could use a Montepulciano, anything strong, rich, flavorful. All right, I got my sauce going. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit because let it simmer. I let my pasta dry a little bit. So on the plate, I spread it out. It's got all the semolina in between it. If you're gonna save it, you can roll it up into a little nest, individual, put it in the freezer. We're gonna make this fresh and enjoy. Right into that salted water. You know what? You should taste the water, but I know I had enough salt in there because I know that it needs it. And the difference is really something you want to have. Doesn't take long. Pasta, fresh pasta, not even a minute. As soon as it starts to float. Wow, I could feel the spoon in there, feeling that egg and flour coming together. It's floated already. It's up to the top, ready. I'm just gonna take my strainer and get it right into the pot. It's okay that some of that water comes in. We want that. We want that pasta water. We're gonna grab a little bit of that pasta water as well because that's gonna loosen it up. We got all our pasta. We don't wanna leave any goodness. Look at that. Rich, flavorful, ready to go. All right, here we go. So we're gonna turn it off. It looks good. We're gonna come right to the plate. You know what? How could I resist? Soft, room temperature butter. Give it a little shine. Hey, if we've gotten this far with the meal, just worried about a little more butter. Give it a little sheen. All right, we got it in our pot. Nice plate. Try to get all that goodness together in a nice little nest. It's difficult with the fresh pasta because it's so hearty, but you could feel the chew and the bite that's going to be in there. Unlike store-bought dry pasta, which is fine, but you could taste the egg in here, the flour, all right? So you have your pasta in there. Now I'm going to get some of that braised goodness. There we go. Now the piece de resistance. Parmigiano Reggiano. Can't go wrong. I like it a little bit shaved. Ah, look at that. I love when they say that commercial, tell me when to stop. And the cheese is up this high. That's me. Look at that. Okay. We're gonna give it a little freshness. I have some fresh basil. A little fresh basil in the middle. A little more freshness. It's okay. Sprinkle a little love, a little freshness at the end. And there we are. Homemade pappardelle pasta with a braised short rib ragu. Manja. I hope you had as much fun as I did, pairing a garlic shrimp with toasted croustades, braised beef ragu with fresh pappardelle pasta and shaved Parmigiano Reggiano cheese. We finished it off with fresh macerated berries, mascarpone whipped cream, and a brittle of sesame and pumpkin seed. Topped it off with a little mint, rounded out the meal. Chef Michael's Culinary Crescendo, a symphony of flavors. I can't wait to see you again next time. Play some more music.